how's it going? I'm IlaGolden and welcome to my blog. Alright, okay, so at the end of the last one, I said this one was going to be about food. It's still going to be about food, but at the end of the last one, I wasn't too sure whether this was going to be a writerly one or if this was going to be an other. I actually think it's going to be a little bit of both. Mostly because, for those of you who are aware of it, my series Isla Reads is still working its way through Echo, which is obviously by me. And there are a lot of scenes where characters either have food, mention food, have drink, mention drink. Yeah, there are a lot of food related scenes so far in my read through of Echo because that's what's in the book, that's what's in the text. And I think I do, depending on sort of like what I'm writing and the necessity of whether or not I think my characters need to be having food and sustenance. My stories either have a lot of eating and drinking or very little eating and drinking, and Echo appears to be one of those stories where I have a lot of eating and drinking going on, apparently. I do quite like writing scenes where characters have food and drink around them because it gives the characters something to do, so it's not just people standing around or sitting around awkwardly waiting for the plot to happen. They are doing something within that scene. They are eating and drinking, they are taking a moment to refresh themselves without it feeling like they're just being static and not getting on with stuff. I think that's kind of how I sort of view eating and drinking scenes in a little bit. But I also think it's sort of dependent a little bit on my relationship with food at that particular moment in time when I'm sort of writing whatever it is that I'm writing as to how much my characters will eat or drink during those particular scenes. And certainly if I've got, big ensemble cast that I'm working with, having them with food and with drink gives the characters who are not active in those moments something to be doing without having to mention that they're there. That they are there, they're just eating and drinking and being quiet because they're eating and drinking, you don't need to worry about them. So, yeah, as I said, I think I wouldn't say food and drink was most vital to most vitally important to my characters and to the worlds that I sort of create, but it is a part of the worlds that I create. I mean, people eat and drink. It's what we do as human beings. It's a normal thing to sort of be getting on with and sort of doing. So it makes sense that there is eating and drinking within my writing and that it goes on, but I don't very often go into too much detail with what's being eaten. I don't very often go into too much detail about how it looks or how it smells or how it tastes, unless it's necessary to the plot. The fact that it's there, the fact that it's something that's going on, the fact that it's part of the world is sort of enough. It's a way of fleshing things out and making things seem and feel more real without necessarily having to do too much extra work. Makes me sound incredibly lazy, but I don't sort of mean it in that sort of lazy sense like I sometimes do. I think, it just rounds things out, and I think sometimes you just need things to be rounded out. So, in terms of the non-writerly thing, I'm not much of a cook myself. I am very much a kind of the easiest thing is probably what I'm going to end up eating. And that's partly an energy thing. And I say that, and then I'm kind of like, yeah, but I have the energy to bake, or I used to have the energy to bake when I was with my past partner. I used to bake quite a bit. I don't bake so often anymore. I don't see the point in baking for one person because baked goods do tend to go off a lot. They go off quickly. They go off too quickly for it to really be worth it for one person. So I've learnt to make sweets instead because sweets last a lot longer. Everybody should make their own sweets and have sweetness in their life. It's really fun. But yeah, so I've got plenty of time and patience to do these things that probably take a lot longer and require a lot more skill and a lot more care than I do when it comes to sort of actual meal times. I will just dunk things in the oven quite often and leave it at that and not worry too much about it. And if I do sort of attempt to cook, it's usually just a slap a load of things together and see what I end up with kind of thing anyway. I'm not a particularly proficient chef. My meals are usually edible. It's very, very rare for my meals not to be edible. Um, but I'm kind of a lazy cook. So that doesn't mean I have an unhealthy relationship with food. I enjoy food. I especially enjoy sweet food. It's kind of weird. I don't think my characters eat sweet things very often. I think usually when they're eating, it's something savoury. Which kind of puts me in sort of a completely different thread to my characters. Mostly, if I'm eating, if I'm snacking, it's probably something sweet and not very good for me. Whereas my characters are more likely to, be having a bite out of an apple, or a sandwich, or tucking into a roast dinner. um, so again, I don't know what that really says about me or my characters and the relationship that I sort of have with food. I'm sure it says something. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have my characters cook very often. They'll mention that they're preparing stuff or that they are going to cook something, but I don't actually have them actively cooking or baking very often. And I think I don't know why. Um, because that is something I could get my characters to do in a scene. I mean, as I said, I'll sometimes have them maybe talking about the prep or maybe the sort of before and then the after, but I don't necessarily have them doing the actual cooking bit very often. That's not to say that it's not there at all. There are definitely scenes, I believe, where I do have characters doing stuff like that for one reason or another, but I think maybe I don't have them doing it because I'm not very good at it myself. I'm sort of a lazy cook, so I kind of skip that bit out for my characters because I'm also lazy writing about cooking. Maybe I'll have some of my characters making sweets or baking in the future because I seem to have more time and patience for that. Maybe they could do that. That would be a good thing. Um, so yeah, it's sort of been an odd kind of one, and I know it's going to be a very short kind of one because I think I've said just about all I can sort of say, sort of both in terms of my personal foodiness and in terms of my character's sort of foodiness. If you want to see just how good I am at writing eating scenes, definitely go listen to Echo. Literally, like every 3 scenes, food is mentioned or is being had. That's what it feels like at the moment. I didn't realise there was so much food in Echo until I actually started reading it for either reason. It works. It works because there's passage of time, there are passage of days. So you do kind of need your characters sort of eating because, they would be eating. I didn't realise quite how much they were eating until I started sort of reading it for the series. So, yeah, if you're curious as to the exact hows and ins and outs of my characters' relationships with food, go check out Iris. This is a good sell pitch. That right? Sell pitch. Perfect wording. All right. Okay. So, apparently, the topic for next time is other hobbies. Again, I don't know what I was thinking when I came up with that one. I don't know if it means my other hobbies, characters' other hobbies. I think I'll probably do it in a similar style to this, where I will talk about how I write hobbies for characters within my work, if I do and when I do. What kind of classes a hobby? Because a hobby is all sort of subjective, really, isn't it? And then I'll also talk a little bit about things that I do other than writing, which could class as hobbies. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of that. And I'll sort of maybe talk about, hobbies in general, and yeah, I hobbies. I'll make it work. I made food work. We can make that work. All right. Okay. I hope this one has been sort of different and interesting. Yeah. Okay. I will see you next time. See ya. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others, and if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. See ya!